Hello, and welcome to another Havoc Sons video. This is part 2 of my Gateway E4600 P4 1.7 gigahertz computer. And I gotta tell you, boy, sometimes I drop the ball miserably. And I did so on this. I mean, I dropped the ball 16 years ago, and I should know better. Let me explain what I'm talking about. I have this right now painting on that stamp. Here's the reason why. I could not find anything on this motherboard, and I talk about what a hunk of crap this board was. I bought 2 of these computers, both of them just kept locking up and failing and all kinds of different things, and it just made it difficult for me. Right now this machine is dead. I mean, she powers up and I get nothing on the screen. I can't seem to remedy that, and she's always been a problem for me, and I think I just figured out why, and it has to do with that stamp. Let me explain briefly if I can, and I really feel stupid, and it's seldom that I do. I mean, I've done this once before on Lost Computers video that I did a while ago, and boy, this is 16 years of stupid. Let me try to clarify. That sticker, that stamp, Axion, I see it. Oh God, I know the name. AXXION-LFE. Now, even though below it says China, which means that this computer was probably assembled in China, and there's a stamp below it of 2001, May 30th, and then it's got an OK. That means everything. That stamp means everything. Let me explain. To bring this down a little bit. Okay, you're getting a really good look at the fan right now, and I believe that was part of the problem. First of all, let me go to why that sticker means everything. I don't know if you're familiar with Axion, but I am. Axion is a company that builds computers out of Canada. I believe they're on Tecumseh Road in Windsor, Ontario, but don't quote me on that. Now here's the thing with Axion. Their motherboards have an extremely high fault tolerance, and they're a little more pricey than most boards. As a result, these boards can withstand electrical discharges of over 5,000 volts. That's quoted. I mean, Google it. This has led to the products that they build to be employed in military and industrial environments, as well as broadcast industries. Why? Yeah, that's what it does. It just, after a little while, it shuts down. So it's telling me, I think it's shutting down because it's overheating still. So again, why did this system cause me so many problems? Because when I bought 2 of these, and I bought them together, their serial number was 1 digit off. Both of them were doing the same thing, and I think I figured out what it was. I think that the fans that came with them, which were probably not built by Axion, they're probably assembled by the factory that assembled all of this in China. The original fan, this is a replacement, it died about 4 months after the warranty expired, and then I replaced it with this one. But I think the fan was defective from the start, and I think it was causing other problems. The fan alone stopping wouldn't hurt it unless you have other things involved, and let me explain why. Let me move down a little bit. Now, this here is a NVIDIA GeForce FX 5600. It is not the stock card that I had. I had a ATI Fire GL. It was a rendering card. It wouldn't even run 256 colors, so it wouldn't run classic games. After I retired this computer, then I put this card in it. And I also replaced the fan and I replaced the power supply. What I remember about this computer then, when I set it up as a gamer for our LAN parties, man, it was a solid gamer. I mean, it didn't cause us any problems, which was so... It just was weird for me. I couldn't know what the hell. How did I... did I fix it by doing all of this? Well, yeah, of course. I fixed it by replacing the fan. Let me explain why. There's something else on here now. It just shut off. But, yeah, this is still... Oh, wow. That's very hot to the touch. I mean, I can feel the heat off of that. And there's nothing wrong with that RAM. There's 1 gigabyte of RAM bus RAM. Now, RAM bus was short-lived, but it was awesome. When it first came out, I mean, it was a cat's meow. Everybody tried to copy it. There was a lot of lawsuits. The cool thing about RAM bus is it was far ahead of anything else at that time. And the reason why was, let me see if I can remember how it worked. See, the problem with these boards in this socket was that they only could run on a 400 megahertz bandwidth. And that basically restricted your flow, your data flow on your RAM. So what RAM bus figured out, what they could do was they presented data on both the rising and falling edge of the clock cycle. Basically what that did was that resulted in effectively creating an 800 megahertz RAM chip on a 400 megahertz data bus. Clinically documented at delivering over 1,600 megabytes a second across the bandwidth of a 16-bit bus using a 184-pin chip, which was phenomenal. And then they went on later to, increase it with the 32-bit bus, which is what this one has, and it even became faster. But initially, each chip had the leading and trailing edge rise and fall count, which increased, basically doubled. It was, later chips were known as the DDR, the double data rate, but earlier ones were called RAM bus. Now, the later chips that were called DDRs were actually, they stole a lot of RAM bus's information. And there were some lawsuits. And here's the funny thing about it. You don't know much about this, but the lawsuits that RAM bus initiated, they won. In U.S. Supreme Court, they settled with big names like Samsung, who not only settled with them, but agreed to pay royalties on all their SD RAM that they created based on the RAM bus principle. So, I mean, there is so much shockwaves out of these chips, not only with what I feel is the problem with this system, but in general terms. I mean, this was just a mess from the start. So if you think about it, what Gateway was trying to do in 2000 was they were trying to build a stable machine using what they thought was the most stable platform motherboard, the fastest RAM known to man at the time, RAM bus, using a 1.7 gigahertz CPU, which was for a P4, which pretty much get up and go. The problem was the stock fan. It was defective, and when it was failing, it wasn't supplying enough cooling. Between the heat generated from this chip and the original ATI FireGL video card that I had in here, no wonder she was locking up. She was overheating, which is probably why she's doing it now. I think that maybe the thermal paste on the CPU is probably burnt to a crisp. I'm gonna have to open it up and check. I would think that there was so much heat, plus this fan here doesn't look like it's really even moving that great. So I think the fan system on this was a key defect in what Gateway was trying to do. And it brings tears to my eyes because this was a fabulous company. And what the research is showing me is, man, they tried hard to fix this. And because of a stupid fan, it failed. And these systems, their specs read so good at that time that there was a boatload of these sold. Literally, boatloads coming from China sold. Originally, I thought it was a Chinese company. Now I find out, no, it was a Canadian company, but they were manufactured. All the parts were assembled in China, but this board was built in Ontario, Canada. And so I'm just blown away by these facts. This is actually a very sturdy, very robust board that was working even under some horrific conditions back in '01. And when I changed the video card, the fan, and the power supply, and I changed nothing else, this became a stable gamer, and I couldn't understand why. Well, I fixed the problem, dummy. Anyway, I'm shocked, and I don't know. I don't think I haven't heard this from anyone else out there in YouTube or anywhere else. I believe this particular Rambus series Axiom motherboards that were in so many of the gateways were failing because they weren't cooled correctly. So in part 3, I'm actually doing some testing now. I think because of my investigation, I'm going to pull the CPU and I'm going to take a look at it. It may even be gone, might be overheated. I may want to change it. I'm definitely going to look at the heatsink to see if it's burnt. Maybe see if I can get a bigger fan on it, or just, give me some new heatsink, do some testing. I'll check the RAM too to see. And I'm going to do all that here pretty soon, but I wanted to just show you all of the things that I found out. Now, I think originally, I can't be for sure, but I think originally this came with a 20 gig Western Digital. I think this was the original hard drive that went in it, and 120 Western Digital D drive. That's what when I ordered it, I think it came with a 20 and a 120D, 20C and a 120D, a Fire GL, which I don't think I'm going to put in it. Because this was a special order system. You could get them a lot of different ways. I think I'm going to build it as a classic gamer, which you could have ordered it that way. I don't even like this fan. It's a little gaudy and it's not blowing the way I thought. So I'm going to see what else was available for it at that time, see if I can replace that. The power supply, it's just a little bit more giddy up than the original one. I think I'll keep it. I don't think that matters much. The video card, of course, I don't know what other choices you could have had. I think they favored ATI at the time, and that ATI at that time was not part of AMD yet. This is the only card left that's original, and this is a Sound Blaster Live PCI card. Right now it's got an 80 gig hard drive in it there, but I don't think that was original. That's a Samsung. Boy, it might have been, because I know that Samsung was doing a lot for them, because Samsung was trying to make good. They were caught red-handed stealing Rambus technology, which was inside the gateways. So who knows what was going on beyond the doors. I have to check to see. Originally, it came with 98 second edition, which I'm going to put in it. But anyway, I think I found the motherlode of failures for Gateway on the Rambus systems that they created. And I know they created a lot of them. And I think it had to do with heat. And I think that's what this thing is failing with now. Because even the caps, when I checked, they're all good. And which was really interesting about these caps, they're not solid caps, but they're brown coated caps. Not like the blue coated that you would see inside Dell computers. The blue coated in the Dells, I mean, most of my Dell computers have blue coated caps. All the caps are popped, and I've got to replace them. All these caps just out fine. So, military grade board, I believe so. What we got here is a very stable platform that was trying to live through some excruciating, hence the name Fire GL. We basically had a fire going on inside here. So it was a revolution for me to figure this out. And based on the information that I have, I'm going to try to apply it and see if I can bring this back from the dead. Again, like always, thank you for watching. I think I found a bit of history and what caused Gateway's demise on this particular style board. You guys have a great day and a better life. See ya.